You've probably sat in that chair more than once and walked out feeling like something was slightly off, but you couldn't put your finger on what. Your hair looked fine. Neat even. But fine isn't the same as good, and you've known that for a while. Here's what nobody says directly. Some of the most common hairstyles women over 50 are still wearing right now were designed for a different era. And they're doing the opposite of what you want. Not because your hair is the problem, because the style is. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results, fast. Every week, I go through what actually works and what quietly works against you. And this week, we're going straight into 5 hairstyles that are aging you, and exactly what to wear instead. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Part 1. The Wash and Set Helmet Curl. Here's something most women never hear. The hairstyle that was considered the height of polish in the 1970s is now one of the fastest ways to read as dated. Not stylish, not classic. Dated. And the Wash and Set Helmet Curl is at the top of that list. You know the one. Tight, uniform rows of curls sitting close to the head, every strand in its designated place, an almost architectural symmetry to the whole thing. It's the style your mother's generation saved up for at the salon every Friday. It communicated effort. It communicated care. Back then, it was genuinely glamorous. The problem isn't the curl itself. The problem is what that level of rigidity communicates now. When hair sits perfectly uniform and immovable, it creates a stark contrast against the natural softness of a woman's face at 60 and beyond. And that contrast, stiff hair, softer skin, is what registers as aging, even when you can't immediately identify why. There's also something specific happening with proportion. Tight curls set close to the head reduce the visual volume at the crown and temples, which are exactly the areas where a little lift and width make a woman's face look more awake and alive. When that volume disappears, the eyes look smaller, the jawline looks heavier, and the whole face reads as more tired than it actually is. The fix is looser. Not undone, just softer. A soft wave or a low-tension curl that has movement and air in it does the opposite of what the helmet curl does. Think of the difference between a curl that swings slightly when you turn your head versus one that stays exactly where it was set. That movement is doing real work. It catches light. It creates dimension. It says effortless, in a way that rigid uniformity never can. If you've been getting a wash and set out of habit, try asking your stylist for a loose roller set instead of pin curls, or a soft body wave with diffused drying. Tell them you want the curl to move. That one phrase, "I want it to move," is often all a stylist needs to shift the entire direction of the style. The snapback moment here is this. When a woman walks into a room with soft, moving hair, the first read is energy. When she walks in with a rigid, set style, the first read is formality. And formality at this stage reads older than it did at 40. Stylist language matters here. If you go in and say, "I want something modern," you might get anything. But if you say, "I want loose movement with some lift at the roots, nothing too set," you're giving them a direction they can actually execute. Specificity is what gets you the cut you want, not the cut they default to. Before, tight uniform helmet curls set close to the scalp, zero movement, heavy at the sides. After, soft open waves with root lift, visible dimension. Hair that shifts when you move. That swap alone can take years off how you read in a room. Not because you changed, but because the style stopped working against your face. And speaking of things that work against your face, the next style on this list does something even more specific and even more avoidable. And it's one that a huge number of women are still doing without realizing the effect it's having. Part 2. The severe center part with flat sides. Most women don't realize that a center part is one of the most unforgiving parting choices for anyone over 50, and yet it remains one of the most common. The irony is that it reads as low effort rather than intentional, which is the opposite of the impression you're after. Here's the visual mechanic that most people don't talk about. A hard center part creates a perfectly symmetrical frame around the face. And perfect symmetry, while it sounds appealing, actually emphasizes asymmetry. Our faces are not symmetrical. Nobody's is. At 60, the very slight natural differences between the left and right side of the face become more visible. And a dead center ruler straight part is essentially drawing a line that says compare these two halves. Beyond the symmetry problem, there's the flatness issue. A center part pulled tight to the scalp with no volume at the root creates a shape that visually widens the middle of the head and flattens the crown. Your hair ends up looking heaviest at the widest point, the sides, and thinnest at the top, which reads as exactly the opposite of what flatters a mature face. The fix is a side part, specifically a deep side part, set about 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the natural center. Not a hard side part dragged all the way to the ear, but a soft, slightly off-center split that falls naturally and creates asymmetry on purpose. What that asymmetry does is significant. It breaks up the symmetrical frame, so instead of drawing the eye into a comparison between the two sides of the face, it directs it diagonally, which is a far more flattering visual path. It also allows volume to build on one side, creating the lift at the crown that makes eyes look brighter and cheekbones look more defined. The snapback. Women who switch from a center part to a deep side part often say it's the single change that gets them the most comments. Not because it's dramatic, because it's a visual shift that reads as deliberate, current, and effortlessly elegant, all at once. Tell your stylist this. I want a deep side part about here. And point to a spot about 2 finger widths from your natural part, on whichever side your hair falls most naturally. Ask them to leave the root area with a little lift, not blow-dried flat. That's all it takes. Before, a ruler straight center part pulling the hair flat on both sides, face framed symmetrically, no root volume. After, a soft deep side part with visible lift at the crown, asymmetrical sweep, a shape that works with the face rather than mapping it. One more thing on this, you don't need to change your haircut to change your part. This is entirely about placement and a little root volume. 2 minutes with a round brush can do it. That's the part of this that makes it so frustrating. The fix costs almost nothing, but the effect is immediate. What's coming up next in this list is something even women with genuinely beautiful hair are doing. And the problem is so subtle that most people can't name it when they see it. But they feel it. Part 3: The Blunt Bowl Bob. Here's the thing about a bowl-shaped blunt bob. It was a deliberate style choice for decades because it communicated clean, modern precision. In the right era, on the right face, it worked. The problem is that it was designed with a completely different set of priorities than what serves a woman at 60 and beyond. The blunt bowl bob, a line cut that curves uniformly around the head, sitting at the jaw or just below, with a hard blunt edge and zero layering, does 3 specific things that compound each other. First, the weight of the blunt line sits directly at the widest point of most women's faces, which is the jaw. That draws the eye down, not up. Second, without layering, the hair sits heavy at the ends and flat at the crown, which creates the exact inverse of the proportion you want, thin on top, heavy at the bottom. Third, the uniform curve of the bowl shape doesn't interact with your face shape. It sits around it, like a frame you didn't choose. The fix starts with breaking up the blunt line, and that means introducing movement into the ends. Not a choppy cut, not a razor-shredded look, but a piecewise soft edge that allows the hair to shift and separate naturally rather than landing as one heavy mass. This is called a textured bob or a piecewise bob, and it keeps the length while completely changing how the weight distributes. Pair that with some layering around the face, what stylists call face framing layers, and the whole thing pivots. Layers cut around the face follow the cheekbone and draw the eye upward and inward, toward the eyes, rather than downward toward the jawline. That single change redirects the visual path across the face in a way that reads as more youthful without reading as overdone. The snapback. When the blunt weight lifts and the ends start to move, the first thing people notice is that you look lighter overall. Not younger in a trying too hard way. Just less heavy, like you put something down you'd been carrying for a while. When you sit in the chair, the language to use is this. I want a bob, but I don't want it blunt. I want texture at the ends and some soft layers through the front that follow my cheekbones. If your stylist tends to default to blunt, add, I want the ends to separate and move, not sit in one line. That specificity closes the gap between what you're picturing and what you walk out with. Before, a heavy blunt bowl bob, uniform curved line at the jaw, no movement, weight pulling downward. After, a soft textured bob with piecewise ends, face framing layers, visible lift and movement that redirects the eye upward. The difference you feel walking out of the salon after this change is different from most hair changes. It's not excitement, it's relief. Like the style finally stopped fighting your face and started working with it instead. The next one on this list is one I see constantly on women who've kept their hair beautifully colored and well-maintained. And the style is still aging them. Because the cut is the problem, not the color. Part 4. The overgrown feathered wing. A lot of women who were in their 20s and 30s in the late 70s and early 80s have a version of this style somewhere in their hair history. The feathered wing. And the reason it's still showing up in salons today isn't nostalgia exactly. It's that the original instinct behind it was right. The idea that soft movement away from the face is flattering. The execution is where things went wrong. An overgrown feathered wing. Layers swept back and outward from the face in a wide, flat arc, often with visible ridges from hot iron styling, and ends that flip upward at the tips. Creates a visual shape that reads immediately as belonging to a specific decade. Your brain files it in the same category as shoulder pads and high-waist denim, whether you want it to or not. Style cues carry chronological weight. That's not a judgment. It's just how visual pattern recognition works. There's also a structural issue. The feathered wing tends to sweep the hair away from the face and outward, creating width at the ear level. That's the wrong kind of width. Width at the ear and cheek level makes the face look broader. Width at the crown and just above the eye level. That's what creates lift. The fix is a recalibration of where that movement is directed. Not backward and outward, but slightly forward and down, or straight down with movement at the ends rather than a stiff outward flip. What you're looking for is a style called a soft curtain layer or a cascading face frame. Layers that fall on either side of the face following its natural contour, rather than sweeping dramatically away from it. The key shift is in the direction of the styling. Where a feathered wing is blow-dried backward to create the sweep, a curtain layer is blow-dried downward and slightly inward, so it falls alongside the face rather than away from it. That direction change creates an entirely different silhouette. One that draws the eye inward and upward toward the face rather than outward and away from it. Tell your stylist, I want face framing layers that fall forward, not back. I don't want a flip at the ends. I want the ends to fall naturally downward. If you have a long-standing relationship with a feathered style and feel nervous about losing it entirely, you can ask for a softened version. Just take the flip out of the ends and redirect the layers to sit closer to the face. And that alone will modernize the whole look significantly. The snapback here is something I want you to sit with for a second. The feathered wing was a style built to make women look powerful, interesting, even a little dramatic. The curtain layer is a style built to let the woman's face do that work instead of the hair. And at 60 and beyond, your face has a lot more to say than it did at 30. The style should be making space for that, not competing with it. Before, wide outward feathered sweep at ear level, tips flipping up, decade-specific visual cue that registers before anything else does. After, soft forward falling curtain layers following the face's contour, natural downward movement. A silhouette that directs attention inward rather than outward. You might be thinking that the last one in this list couldn't apply to you. That it's probably about an extreme style you'd never choose. But I've noticed that the fifth style ages women precisely because it doesn't look extreme. It looks perfectly fine. And that's exactly the problem. Part 5. The shapeless grown-out layer. The fifth style is the one that's hardest to point to on the street, but the easiest to feel on your own head. You've been growing your hair. It's been a while since your last significant cut. The layers you had put in 6 or 8 months ago have grown down and out, and your hair now sits in a kind of middle ground limbo. Not short, not long, not layered in any intentional way, just present. That's the shapeless grown-out layer, and it's more aging than almost anything else on this list because of how invisible it feels. Here's the specific thing that happens structurally. When layers grow out without being maintained, the hair loses its graduation. Instead of having weight and volume distributed deliberately, lighter at the top, some support through the midshaft, a clean line at the ends, everything migrates toward the ends. You end up with a style that has no internal architecture. And hair with no architecture sits flat on the head and frizzy at the ends simultaneously, which is a combination that reads as neglected rather than natural. The fix is not to start over. It's a precision reset. What some stylists call a reshape cut. Not a restyle, not a new direction. Just a deliberate reintroduction of graduation and shape into what's already there. This means trimming the ends to create a clean base, redistributing the layers so they fall at intentional lengths again, and often adding a small amount of texture through the midshaft to restore movement. I'll tell you something a stylist told me once that I haven't forgotten. A good reshape cut should feel like your hair clicked back into place, not like you got a haircut. That's the goal. Not dramatic, intentional. There's a significant difference. The snapback here is in texture. When hair has shape and internal architecture again, it reflects light differently. There are highlights and lowlights that appear naturally because the different layers are catching light at different angles. That shimmer, that dimension, it's not coming from color. It's coming from structure. And structure is entirely in the cut. When you sit down for this cut, tell your stylist, I don't want a new style. I want to restore the shape I had. Take what's grown out and graduated and bring the architecture back. If your stylist doesn't use the word graduation naturally, ask them, where do you want the weight to sit? That question tells you immediately whether they're thinking about your hair structurally or just looking at the surface. One more practical thing. The shapeless grown-out layer develops fastest on fine and medium density hair and slowest on coarse hair. If you have fine hair, you probably need a reshape every 8 to 10 weeks. Not 12. That extra month is where the shape disappears. Before, shapeless grown-out layers with weight pooled at the ends, flat at the root, no internal graduation, hair sitting undefined. After, precision reshape with restored graduation, intentional layer lengths, root volume, dimension from structure alone. And here's the thing that pulls all 5 of these together. None of these are about having the wrong hair. They're about having the wrong shape around hair that's actually beautiful. The shape is what you change. Everything else is already there. You just learned 5 specific hairstyles that are working against you. And exactly what to replace each one with. The helmet curl, the center part, the blunt bowl bob, the feathered wing, and the shapeless grown-out layer. You know what each one does structurally, you know the fix, and you know the exact language to take into your next salon appointment. That's not a vague, try something new. That's a precise toolkit. And the women who use it walk out of the salon looking like themselves, just with hair that finally got out of the way and let the rest show up. Which one of these 5 hit closest to home for you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Next week I'm covering the 5 haircut mistakes women make specifically with thin and fine hair that make it look even thinner. And the fixes are even simpler than these. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.